What's up, Doc? Welcome to the Docs Get Money podcast. Are you a badass doctor killing it professionally and has bigger dreams than just clocking in and out of the hospital? Do you want to leave behind a legacy that is as lit as an HBCU homecoming? Want to know how other doctors are getting to the big bag? That's right, making 5, 6, and 7 figures without putting on the white coat? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Kimberly, but you can call me Kim or KB. I went from being a burnt out and overwhelmed emergency physician to the founder and CEO of 2 6-figure non-clinical companies and beating burnout along the way. I'm also your business coach, here to help you make money moves to change the world. This podcast isn't just about making money, though. It's about leveling up your life, mindset, and bank account so you can build an empire that's as iconic as Beyonce. You ready? Let's get into it. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell me your name, tell me your pronouns, and I guess tell me what you practice and what you do for a living.
Sure. I'm Theodore Roosevelt Harper III. Most people know me as Teddy. It was 3 of us. Plan on keeping the legacy going. I go by he, him, whatever pronoun that is. You said where I'm from, I think.
Yeah, where are you from and what do you do now?
Okay, yeah, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. I lived in Atlanta for approximately 31 years, then moved to Southern Illinois, which we're probably going to get into for my pursuit of happiness for medicine. Right now, I'm coming up on my 2nd year attending in emergency medicine right here in St. Louis. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. So tell me about growing up in Atlanta. Because it's not been the Atlanta that everybody, I think, thinks of now.
That's a good question. It's changed so much, man. Like every time I go home, it's almost like a new city, almost. Everything has changed. I grew up in East Point, Georgia, and I moved to the South Side, like kind of borderline College Park, Fayetteville area. But yeah, growing up in Atlanta was such an experience, man. I miss it so much. I mean, I'm kind of like everyone else. You probably don't realize what you had when you were growing up until years later. And it was such a great experience.
What was the best part about growing up in Atlanta?
Just Black excellence, it was everywhere. I think Killer Mike made a comment about how the Atlanta public school system is like 80% of our schools are named after prominent Black figures. I went to Benjamin Elijah Mays High School. We have Frederick Douglass. We have Benjamin Banneker. We have Ralph J. Bunch, Thurl High School, Harper High School. All of these high schools are named after like prominent African-American leaders. And just being around that, I mean, you have the mecca of, I'm pretty sure people from DC will argue, but, the AUC is like the mecca of Black education. You got Morehouse. When I was there, it was Morehouse, Clark, Morris Brown, Spelman, all within walking distance of each other. My neighborhood that I grew up in on the South Side, it was an all Black neighborhood with doctors, lawyers, educators, you name it. It's just, that was my normal. I went to a predominantly Black education all the way up to about 6th, 7th grade. And then when we moved to the South Side, my school was actually predominantly white. And then I went back to Atlanta public school systems around in 11th grade. So I've kind of had the taste of both worlds, would you say? But yeah, it's just, the culture there. I grew up, my father played conga drums, so I grew up in a very musical family. Mm-hmm. My mom she has her PhD in toxicology. My dad was has his master's in mathematics.
Hold on, full stop. So, as an emergency doctor, you better not get no questions wrong on board.
Sorry.
You better know beta.
Yeah, right.
You better know DGM. You better know.
You're right. I actually flirted with going into toxicology, but I didn't want to do too much, fellowship afterwards. And I heard it was quite challenging, so I said, let me just go ahead and work. But yeah, the culture, man, the music, the education, the communities, which you touched on, it was so enriching, especially for a Black male coming up. And so I had a strong sense of knowledge of self, before I even left Atlanta. And I think that's so important, especially in the things that we do. You kind of you hear people talk about imposter syndrome, and are you really made to really do what you're doing? But I'm pretty confident about any situation that I go into and how to carry myself and conduct myself accordingly. So, yeah.
Well, let me pause you right there because you just said something. Where does that come from? How do you know that you can tackle anything?
I think it, for one, starts from my early education. I would credit that to my early education, but a lot of it I would credit it to Morehouse College. They pretty much instilled in us from day one, how to carry ourselves professionally. I mean, once a week we had to actually dress up in suits and go to what was called Crown Forum. If you were in the sciences, you had to walk around with a white coat on. It was pretty intense. And I mean, we didn't have, the best of resources. Like I actually took some science classes at Georgia State. So we didn't have like top of the line lab facilities or anything, but we pretty much used the resources that we had and made the best of it. And I would definitely credit a lot of my confidence and knowing who I am to Morehouse. But with that being said, I think it's important as an African American male to have both experiences. So I was one of two Black males in my medical class, and it was probably like 5 of us total, like 3 or 4 other women out of a class of 72. And so, but
statistic right now. Though these are
that's how it is. Yeah, that's the normal. Like right now, it's me and another guy. We're the only Black people in our group that, in my EM group. But I think that experience is important because the world is not, all Black. You know what I'm saying? So, that experience, I really appreciated that because it gave me a sense of confidence, like, okay, I'm okay. I know how to, do well in this type of setting. I had no problems through medical school. And so that definitely gave me another boost of confidence going through that situation too. So
I love that. What I don't talk about enough is my experience at Fisk University. Yeah. And I think HBCUs are now getting a little bit more of the recognition of what they deserve. But I chose an HBCU because I was in the minority my entire life. It's so funny that you brought that up. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So people can say like, okay, Black people. Yes, Black people are from Wisconsin. But my mother very intentionally put me in environments where I would have the best education. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that was not in predominantly Black communities. Mm-hmm. And so I intentionally chose to go to an HBCU because I wanted that Black excellence experience. Like I specifically remember choosing Fisk because of W.E.B. Du Bois, Nikki Giovanni, because of John Lewis, may God rest his soul, because of John Hope Franklin and Aurelia Franklin, because of all of these stalwarts of the civil rights movement. And I felt like the same thing. If they could do it, come on, girl. Like, who are you? A little brown girl from Milwaukee, but have had less stress and more things afforded to me. So I think the same thing, like you said, Morehouse did for you, Fisk did for me. And that is why I'm a proud alum. I want to send my children to an HBCU, preferably to Fisk, but honestly, any HBCU. Because it's that you said too, like we didn't have the best lab stuff. Like I was a biology major and was dealing with chemicals that had expired and the Bunsen beakers and stuff is not may or may not work, but you speak learn. So I love that you brought up that Morehouse had a lot to do with that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that brings me in. So now I guess you're out of Morehouse. Now you didn't get into medical school right away. Didn't you do an enrichment program, or tell me what you did?
Yeah, so my journey to medicine is actually a definitely non-traditional. My major in Morehouse was chemistry. And I chose chemistry. I always knew I wanted to be a physician. I chose chemistry, one, because I like math and science, but two, the MCAT had two sections that were chemistry. You had organic and G-Chem, and then only one section was bio, and then physics. So I thought I had an advantage, by taking chemistry. Morehouse, I'll be quite transparent. I was not as focused as I am in the latter part of my life. I was an average student. I didn't really, take advantage of Morehouse at that time. Morehouse had a phenomenal pre-med program. I felt like I was just going through the motions,
What were you taking advantage of?
I was a young man and
with the bros.
No, not necessarily. I actually didn't pledge until like my first year out of college. So I actually pledged grad. Yeah.
You know what? I never knew that about you. I really thought you pledged in undergrad. Okay.
Nah. I pledged. Well, my chapter is actually affiliated with the AUC. It's top chapter. So. But yeah, I did not pledge a side chapter, so I will go on record and say that. But I just was not focused, man. I wasn't, and if I had to do it over again, hindsight is 2020, but I would have been more focused. But anyway, not to belabor that point, but I took the MCAT probably my second or third year at Morehouse. And my mom was like, well, the test can't be that hard. Just go in there and take it. So I did what she said. I literally just signed up and took the MCAT. And man, I bombed so hard on it.
Can we just say a special prayer and a special shout out to the parents that
right. But that's how we are, coming from, first time physicians in the family. We don't know. We don't have any guidance,
We had no guidance. My mom was in education, and I remember like wanting to do like something. Yeah, get a certification to be a CNA just to get my foot in the hospital. Right. And she's, no, don't do that. And now knowing, yes, that's exactly what we've been doing. Like our parents mean well, but they also
mean well.
down that path.
Right. So my mom thought it was like the GRE, like you just go in there and take it. So I went in there and literally did that. And man, I scored terrible. It was bad. And I wasn't too mad because I know I didn't study. And so the second time I took it was like my senior year. I was taking like it must have been one of the Kaplan or Princeton Review at Georgia Tech. And my folks actually paid for it, man. And I would go down there, and I just hate those kind of board review classes because I didn't learn anything. And so I took it a second time. I went up a little bit, but it wasn't enough to be competitive. So I thought medicine wasn't for me, So I always had the research background. And during Morehouse, I used to work for this program, Morehouse School of Medicine, called Minority Biomedical Research Support, MBRS. And they pretty much put you on track for the PhD route. So I did a post back at Emory and then got into the PhD program at Morehouse School of Medicine. Mm-hmm. And so I was going through that, did well, but then my father got really sick after the second year. And so I went through a lot with that, moved back home, trying to take care of him with my mom. And so I just, I honestly was not feeling research or PhD. So I actually withdrew from the program. Mm-hmm. And man, I must have been, I can't remember how old I was. I think I was like 23 or something like that. And I was really depressed, man, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I wasn't like contemplating suicide or nothing, but I was really down, like really depressed, man.
You know what? And let me pause you, because I think you and I may have had similar things. So I've always wanted to be a doctor too, for the most part. That was my goal. Went to FIS with a biology major, did a joint program, didn't get into the joint program to go to Meharry because of the MCAT, because it's a terrible exam.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, honestly, after an artificial rubric that someone somewhere has put into place. Now, spoiler alert, anyone that's listening, Teddy is now 2 years out of residency, or about to be 2 years out of residency. They have already started asking him to be the assistant medical director / medical director at his shop where he's working. And, he's out here killing it. But no one talks about how the compliments that you get, the accolades that you've gotten since you now completed everything, and now on the other side of it is that it's the relationships that matter, the actual being able to stop and to communicate with people and make them understand which really matters. But I'm not going to jump too far. But I think that just made me think that too, like, I took the MCAT 3 times. I never did well on that. I was starting to think the same thing. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to be a doctor. Maybe this is not for me. Yeah. So how did you, what kind of woke you up, or what kind of shook you out of that headspace?
Well, so a lot of years went by. So to shake me out of my depression, man, I don't think I really told this on film, but it's nothing crazy, but I used to actually smoke cigarettes, man.
Okay.
And it's probably my 16th, 17th year since I quit cold turkey. But such a stupid habit. We probably need to cut it out, but I don't know. I gotta see how I feel. Some people might be able to.
I'd like to submit that there's a lot of physicians that I know currently that smoke cigarettes. There are a lot of physicians and people in healthcare in general, like not just
it kind of tells my story. Like, to answer your question, what helped me get out of that funk, one of the bros, I never even told this story. One of the bros, man, named Leslie Etienne. He's from Pi Sigma. And he's my number 2. He saw me out one day and he said, "Man, what's going on?" I kind of told him, I didn't really know what I want to do next step in life. And I'll never forget, it was like God was talking to him, man. And he said, in order for you to get something, you need to give up something. Or it was either that, or he said, you got to do something you never did before. It was either one of those 2 ways he said it. And I felt like that was God's way of telling me to give up that habit. I literally quit that next day. And probably within a week, I got a phone call for an interview at the Centers for Disease Control. Yeah. And I never told them. My mom knows this story. I never told nobody that. So I'm like it's been a lot of like spiritual moments for me. And that was one.
That just gave me chills.
And I never went back. I never got wiped away that taste for cigarettes. I can't even stand. I don't even smoke hookah, nothing. I don't do none of that. And that was like my testimony. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So
So
that
you
was,
picked up something that you thought you needed in
yeah,
order to get something
yeah,
that you truly wanted and get to the next level to where you're supposed to be.
yeah. I took it like, I interpreted it the way he said it was like God saying you can't serve two masters. You can't you can't tell me that you want to achieve something and then you hear slave to a cigarette. And,
Hmm.
and it was just crazy, man. I got a phone call from my mentor who actually passed away 2021, Lewis Graves. He was actually my boss, but he called me to interview there, man. And is at the time uh, something clicked.
No,
Uh,
I shut off my
uh,
tabs in my email and I thought I had found it. That's what it is.
but anyway, yeah, I work for the CDC for this guy, Lewis Graves, man, and that guy changed my life. So CDC, I credit to my professional ways, you know what I'm saying? So I remember the first day I came to CDC, I had on like, back then I was wearing like Mecca and a Nietzsche and all this kind of stuff.
You got up in the CDC with some
Came
Anita.
to CDC with like a Mecca shirt on, you know, some baggy jeans,
You might as well have showed up with a whole Coogee fit, friend.
all coolly fit. And so he pulled me to the side, and I'll never forget. He said, "Hey man," he said, "You know, when I come to work, I have clothes I wear to work. I wear clothes that I go out in, and I have clothes to, you know, wear at home." And he said, "This is a professional environment, man." And I appreciate him pulling my coattail like that because, you know, he was African American too, because I feel like anyone else, they would have let me, you know, look like a fool up there at work. But I
Absolutely.
never did that day. I went, brought slacks, dress shirts, everything, man. I never came back to work, you know, because I didn't know. I was like, it's just Center for Disease Control. I'll be in a lab. Every time I was in the lab, I didn't dress up in a laboratory, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know. But ever since then, you know, it just, I mean, little pointers like that, like, you know, how to email professionally, how to communicate with people professionally, you know, little things I didn't learn in college, you know what I'm saying? How to be on time for meetings, just really how to conduct myself professionally. I credit the CDC. And so at CDC, I was a microbiologist and I worked with Listeria, part of the outbreak team. And so anytime there was an outbreak, we would get, you know, all the lab samples from the public health labs throughout the nation. Mm-hmm. And we had a surveillance kind of assay with electrophoresis, and we would see if there's a new strain breaking out from Listeria. It was cool. You know, I did it. I was at CDC for 7 years. But to answer your question, I know that was long-winded, but what brought me to medicine again, it was multifactorial. But the main thing I credited to this book called The Alchemist. And I wasn't even a reader. You know, I was a reader back in the day, but around this time I wasn't really reading a lot. And I was listening to the Steve Harvey show, and Terrence J was on there. And at that time, Terrence J, he was working on BT, but he came across a bunch of new movies and opportunities and everything. And Steve Harvey said, well, what is it, man, that, you know, keeping you grounded, and what do you think is really blessing? He said, man, I read this book called The Alchemist, man. That changed my life. I was like, oh, okay, let me check this out. Man, I brought that book and could not put it down. I read that book in probably one day because that book was exactly my life. that book was me. I mean, and you know, for those who watching, I don't know if you read it before, but it's basically about a young man that's trying to get his true treasure in Egypt. And he gets distracted along the way with different odd jobs. He was selling diamonds and watches, and he would always get off kilter. And then he finally ended up getting his pursuit of happiness. And so I saw that as symbolic in my life, you know, and I was like, you know what, let me try to do this medicine thing again. I don't know, I just had an epiphany, man. And then a couple of more things happened. I was like, well, how am I going to get into medical school at 30, 31? How am I going to do this? I haven't seen physics, none of these topics in almost 10 years. Like, how am I going to do this? And I don't know, I started research. Oh, this is what happened. This is the main thing that happened. So I was literally, prior to even going to postbac, I would go to Georgia Tech on a Friday and study all the topics. I would go home. I stayed close to downtown, so I would go home, go back to Georgia Tech Library, and I would just study. And I was studying for like 6 months. I was doing practice problems. And then I felt defeated again. And I walked in the barber shop, and my barber, his name is Dex. He was like, man, Teddy, what's up? Why you looking all beat up, man? He was like, what's going on? I said, man, I'm trying to get in med school, man. I don't know how to do it. He said, well, you need to holler, you holler at your friend, brother, Frank. I was like, nah. He was like, man, Frank about to come in. He's the head surgeon down there in Emory. I was like, okay. So I would see Frank, you know, on a weekly basis, like, man, I want to go to med school. I want to go to med school. And he would, you know, he'd listen to me. And finally, one day, he looked at me, he said, you want to go to med school, man? I said, yeah. He said, step outside. Called my frat brother, Dr. Watt at Wright State.
Wow.
And Watt said, he heard my story. He said, for a gentleman like you, you need to do this program called Med Prep at SIU. He said, I did Med Prep. He said, I want you to look at it, call me back, let me know what you think. I looked at the program, I saw it was 2 years. And you had to take a loan out and, you know, pay, you know, tuition was 30-some grand, whatever. And by that time, I was staying downtown. I had a rooftop apartment, brand new Dodge Charger. I was the man, CDC.
No, not with the Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger. You know, that's when the Chargers first hit, like the new body style. I was like, man, I thought I was doing it.
You was ready for this.
Ready. And I saw it was a 2-year program. I said, how am I going to do this program? And I got all, you know, I'm accomplished now. Huh. So I called Watt back. I said, hey, can I just do a summer? And just, you know, I tried to finesse my way. He said, look, man, I told you what you need to do. And hung up the phone in my face.
Pause. Now, what Teddy, what you are experiencing, what it sounds like to me, feels like good old fashioned, I don't want to say hazing, because you've not been hazed, but this is the model, I think, that when you join certain organizations, Black Greek-led organizations, that is how
that's how the brothers do. Yeah.
That's how you relate. And it's like, hey, you want this? Do this. Did you hear what I said? Yeah. There's no hand holding.
No hand holding, nothing.
There's nothing cutesy and fun about it. It's either you come to me, you want something, I'm telling you what to do. You're going to do it or you're not. Yeah. And so if someone listening hears that approach, I just don't want it to be like,
I need it. To your point, that's what I needed.
Right.
I understood what that meant. When he hung up that phone in my face, I knew what it was.
You understood the assignment. You knew exactly.
I understood. And I said, you know, exactly, you put it in good words. I knew, you know, either I was going to give up everything I need to do and do this, or don't waste this time. And so I literally, that was 2012. No, that was 2011. the spring of 2011. I applied. Never really been outside. I mean, I've been, I never lived outside of Atlanta, but I visited other places. So I remember I drove up, and I had people who from MedPrep, they probably remember I looked like I was part of the Fruit of Islam, man. I had a bow tie, three-piece suit, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like I'm about to sell bean pies, man. They was like, man, I think I was the only one. I know for sure I was the only one with a bow tie on. That was like my signature, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I remember it. But that whole experience was like life-changing, man. I remember I drove up the day before, man. And I don't know if you've seen the Temptations movie, how they first got out to Motown. They was like scared to go in, they were like, this is Motown. This is, the places put out Stevie Wonder, Jackie Robinson. That's how I felt with MedPrep. And I remember I came up the night before and I was just like, man, this place is gonna change my life.
Wow.
And I remember I pulled up and the secretary, her name is Glenda Sullivan, she said, you must be Theodore. It was nighttime. She said, you must be Theodore.
How did she know that your name was Theodore?
To this day, I don't know how she knew who I was. I don't know. To this day, I gotta ask her that. Like, how did you know that was me? She said, you must be Theodore Harper. But yeah, long story short, man, I did MedPrep. I mean, that program, probably the best post-bac program in the country, man. Like, you literally are taking classes and studying for the MCAT for 1 year. For 1 year.
And so you said it was 2 years. So what are you doing that second year?
The second year you're applying and then you're taking higher level classes like first year med classes. So at that time we were taking mammalian physiology, biochem, what's some other things? I forgot the other type of classes, but first year medical school classes, anatomy. So you're pretty much well off once you get into med school. Any med school you go to, you'll be well prepared. Mm-hmm. But man, that first year, I was going crazy. Like, I saw that, and I go back to MedPrep almost annually. I tell students this. I said, you guys have an opportunity right now to change your life. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally, like I told you, I hadn't had physics in 10 years. I literally went up to the physics. They have a regular physics class on campus. I went up to the physics professor and said, hey, you mind if I just sit in? Just sitting here and teach. Man, that man gave me a whole syllabus, everything. He was like, come by anytime. They had free tutors to tutor you on questions. Man, I really took advantage of my time. So, but I was in a different mind state. Morehouse, I knew I wasn't focused. So then I said, I got to get it. I gave up my job. I'm out here. I left Atlanta. I'm telling people I ain't coming back. I said, I'm trying to get in med school. And that was it. So side note, like, I hadn't been back, in many years. So last year when you came to my party, that was like, for me, that party was so important for me because I threw a party in 2012 when I left. So that was important for me to like bring people that meant something to me back, like a 10-year reunion of me, leaving. It was like my way of giving back, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so full disclosure for anyone that's listening, because me and Teddy just got personal. So Teddy had a birthday party last year in Atlanta, and that was the same weekend that a mutual friend of ours got married, a Nigerian wedding, which is the first Nigerian wedding I had ever. Super lit. But you had this amazing birthday bash. It was darn near like a secretive. Felt like. But you had so many people around you just to celebrate you. And just thinking about what you were saying, I feel so connected that your story sounds very similar to mine. You embraced all of the
Yeah.
things that were around you when you were at med prep. When I got to Ross, coming from to a Caribbean school, I still had like, whatever, I'm just here because, the
Yeah.
US didn't know that, I was wonderful. I don't need a tutor. I've got a master's degree in public health and almost had a 4.0 at Fisk University, and then I'm smart. But when I got that first fail on a test in medical school, and then I got that second fail, and I'm like, oh snap! Like I
I
told him,
know.
yes,
Yeah.
I told a lot of people, like, hey, I'm leaving to go to this Caribbean island to be a doctor, and I'm not trying to come back. I can't come back not a doctor. And so
Yeah.
it was in that I embraced the tutoring,
Yeah.
the pep talks, the mentorship, all of that. And that's what got me over the edge. Like,
Yeah.
you cannot keep thinking that you've got it all together, because clearly you do not. Otherwise, you would have already been to where
Yeah.
you're trying to go. So
Yeah.
I just love that you tapped in on that. Like, you embrace that way, and you tell other people, like, come on, this is what you need to do in order
Yeah.
to get.
Yeah, that man, you hit it right on the head. Because if you don't check that at the door, like those are the people who don't make it.
You have exactly. And I
Yeah.
unfortunately I watched a lot of people in a Caribbean medical school at Ross fail out because they would not embrace the fact that there were things that they just did not know.
Right.
Whether it's like, you may know all the science, you may know how to draw the pathway out and know what enzymes
Right.
go with, why this enzyme causes this disease and all that. But if you don't know how to apply it when it comes to a test or in the way that
Yeah.
they want you to learn it, then you're never going to make it. So you have to like learn that you have some shortcomings and some things to grow from in order for
Yes.
you to be in the position that you need to get to. So
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important, man. And you hit another point that I really want to bring home is that we need people like me and you to be transparent to people.
Right.
Because one thing I hate about this journey is, people just makes it seem like it's easy, anybody can do it. But I mentor so many people, man. And one thing people love about me is that I tell them my shortcomings and I'm not afraid to tell it. And they feel relatable to that and know that, hey, Teddy did it. I know
Yeah.
I can do it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That's what I live by now, lifting as we climb. That's the biggest thing that I want to that's what my legacy I want that to be. Like when it's all said and done, many years from now, I want people to say, man, Teddy really loved giving back. And I truly do. I really do. I don't want any recognition for it. I just want people to be able to have an easier road than I had it. You know what I'm saying? And really learn from the things that I learned from. And that really makes me feel good. When somebody actually
Yeah.
listen to me, and then they come out even better. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just, it feels so good. Like, honestly.
Oh, and honestly, that's why I wanted to have you on, because I see that. I see that in what you've done. And I'm going to now ask the question. So, you and I first met each other through a group me, which you started. So,
Yeah.
that's one thing that you've done. And I also want you to talk about Medicus, which
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure everything about Medicus, which is something completely separate than the group me.
Yeah.
I know that y'all give money to other members of your fraternity, which is Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So
Yeah.
tell me about the communities that you have
Sure.
started and you grow to kind of
Yeah.
give.
So I'll start with Black and Young. I'm not trying to be too political, but I saw that there's organizations like ASEP and AAEM and I would go to these like conferences and I want to see people like us,
Mm-hmm.
and if I do, it's probably one or two, and I, along with this journey, and I love emergency medicine. Like that's my passion. Like I literally go to work and listen to podcasts just for fun to learn, or I'll look at a new ultrasound technique or how to do it. I just really love what I do. But along on this journey, man, it just felt like I had nobody I could call on, or I had no community to tap into for resources or someone for help. And it's so important, I feel like, when it's coming from your own people.
Yeah.
You know, this is a predominantly, I mean, it is what it is. It's a predominantly Caucasian field, white males. And we're like probably, I don't know the actual numbers, but I guarantee it's less than 5% of this specialty. So, you know, I went through to even get to emergency medicine is a whole story in itself. But I said, if and when I make it, I want to have a community where we can tap into and help each other. You know what I'm saying? And my goal is to have, I just haven't had enough time, but I really want to make it an official like organization, similar to like ASAP or whatever. I really want to have our own professional organization for emergency medicine. That is my long-term goal. It's just, I've been tired. I just got married, man, and you know,
Yes, you're
super busy. Yeah. But that's still on the table. But to answer your question, I love group meeting because I have other groups, you know what I'm saying, that I didn't start, but I think it's a good platform, and a lot of people have group me already. Mm-hmm. And so I said, you know what? I started out the day I matched. I remember the day I matched, I started a Black EM, and I hit up my boy Kwame. Shout out to Kwame. He's up at Yale right now, but he went to Howard, did his residency out in Long Island. But me and Kwame, we were the only people at the ASAP. So I'm jumping all over the place, but ASAP has a residency fair. Mm-hmm. For those of you who are interested in EM, they have a annual residency fair. I didn't even know about it. And Kwame hit me up my third year. He was like, hey, man, you got to be at this residency fair.
Yeah.
He was like, and I said, what are you talking about? He said, hey, man, all the residencies are there with the program. And this was when I submitted my app. I said, what? I was on a rotation at SLU. I told SLU, I said, hey, y'all mind if I go to ASAP just for a day? They was like, yeah. I saw SLU there.
Where was it that year?
It was at Washington, D.C.
Okay, so full stop. Everybody that is, you know, maybe not in the world of emergency medicine, ACEP is the American College of Emergency Physicians. It is the largest organization of emergency physicians in the world. AAEM is the American Academy of Emergency Medicine. That's probably the second largest organization. I'm actually a board member at the time of this recording of AAEM. But those are the big organizations that have huge scientific assemblies and huge conferences every year. And it's funny you bring up that residency fair. Yes, that is for anyone that is a medical student that might be listening. If you are interested in matching into a program, you need to be at ASAP every year and talking to these residency programs and speaking to the current residents, because literally, fun fact, I can tell somebody how to network their way into a residency. I network. So
yeah. Man, so that you know, man, that was like a blessing, man. I remember, man, that's a whole nother story, but man, I remember I got to DC. Shout out to the Qs, man. One of my Neos, he put up for me to stay in his basement. Kwame is a Q, so we got up, man. We kicked it. But I saw all the residencies across the nation, man, and it was so good because I was able to actually look program directors in the eye and really get a feel for who they are in their program.
Yes.
And I knew if that was the program for me, just off the conversation, man.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so with all that being said, so let me get back. So, but yeah, I matched, I hit Kwame up. I probably knew about 4 or 5 other people in EM. And I wish I could scroll all the way back to the first message I put in there. But I remember my first message was like, I'm starting a Black EM organization. I put that on the group me. I said, man, I'm starting a Black EM. And we probably had like 10 people in there. I said, invite everybody you know. I said, we about to start a whole Black EM group, man. And now it's over 700 people in there, man.
What year was that you started it? Wasn't it 20?
It was, I think the first day was 10.
2010. Okay.
Oh, you mean the first, when I started, it was, that was 2018.
Okay. So I joined your EM group me because it was not you that invited me. It was somebody else that I met at a conference, Fred, who's a friend. Yeah. Invited me because he met me at a conference. It was like, are you in this EM group me? I'm like, no, where has this been? Like, I'm about to finish and now there's a Black EM group me. So yes, it came and I've been a part of it ever since.
It's beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. Like, I knew it was beautiful how I met you. I was like, we hosted St. Louis had the AAM conference.
Yep, in 2021.
And I'm just doing who I am, but I credit a lot of what I do is how the bras get down. You know what I'm saying? Like when there's a bra in town, we call it set it out. We set it out for them. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't even know each other, but I knew you're a Black EM physician. I gotta set it. But y'all actually set it out for me. I was in residency, but y'all took care of me. But you know what I'm saying? But, I came and got y'all, we picked it, man. And I had a good time. And I said, man, that's how it should be for these conferences, man. We should be able to just kick it. We're still professionals, but be able to kick it and talk about life, and just really get to know each other, you know what I'm
saying? Advice, you pick the brains, you ask questions. So fun fact, and I don't know if I remember if I said this to you, but that morning, no, before I even got to St. Louis, I was feeling miserable. I
remember that. I remember.
I gave myself food poisoning. I gave myself likely curious because I ate some old rice that I had sitting out on my stove.
Yeah, I remember.
I was like, redacted. I was about to say I was not feeling my best, but you did. You came and you picked up me and Fred from the hotel. You took us to First Watch.
Yeah.
Ate amazing food and drank and had just such a good time because that's what we do. It's like anytime, we know that we're around. Like, okay, we automatically got to connect. Like, yes, I knew kind of of you from the group me, but when oh no, Teddy from the group me, I'm like,
yeah.
Him.
Yeah.
Well, we had an amazing time and we kicked it the entire there. So
yeah, man. I plan on going to more conferences now that I'm settled, man. But I think that's a good look, And I think they do that. We've been doing that. I think I've seen another conference. People were out in Cali and they kicked it like that, and it's just so dope, man. I haven't met a couple of people in person that I want to meet, like Tyler Brown, man. That's just beautiful, brother. Huh?
You haven't met Italo in person?
I haven't met him. But we talk a lot, on IG and on the group.
Podcast. Like Italo definitely already has
That's a dope brother, man. That's a dope, man. He's so dope. I listen to his podcast. I'm like, man, his brother is deep, man. Because I love music. Like I DJ as a hobby. I love music. You know what I'm saying? I just love how he's tackling into the hip hop perspective and health and wellness, man. That's like a whole different look. I'm like, man, this is dope. But yeah, it's some dope people on there, man. Like, and then I love the fact that we can just say we can laugh about hypothetical cases. and run things by each other, or we get in a situation like, hey, what was y'all doing this? And I love to see the consensus of how everybody's practicing medicine in their prospective towns or programs, And I think I even learned a couple of things from there, man.
I've been trying to tag hashtag Black EM CME because there's so much.
Yeah, I don't learn.
In that group. And then also too, I like the fun of the group.
Yeah.
Like we go in the group and talk about, it's okay to talk about Rihanna. It's okay to talk about like, hey, outfit check, what shoes y'all got on the ship. And we can be ourselves in that group. And I'm so glad that you thought and acted on the opportunity to create that space. But let's talk more about Medicus, because I'm not a member of
So the way Medicus, so I actually didn't start Medicus. There's a brother by the name of Anaki Ben, who's the current president. I'm the vice president. But Anaki started it, I think, in 2016, same way as on a group me. But I credit myself for bringing it to light. And so when I joined it probably when I got in med school. And it's another good platform, bruh, that's like everything. Dentists, pharmacists, veterinarians, mainly medical physicians, but a lot of bruhs, man, they like took me under their wing and been mentors for me. But the way I came into it, man, I don't know if you remember during COVID, there was a the don't something challenge.
Don't rush.
Don't rush challenge.
Because one that went viral, I was supposed to be in, but
so I saw everybody doing one. I said, man, we gotta do one with the Qs, man. And I wanted it to show the duality of the bruhs. Like, we still Qs, but we professional, you know what I'm saying? And man, that thing went viral, man. I'm talking about Ricky Smiley commenting on it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and everybody was just like, wow, I didn't know so many Qs or doctors. Like, I had like cardiothoracic surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, OB-GYN, EM, man, I created that, from my own laptop, you know what I'm saying? That thing went so viral. So I said, when I saw the response from that, I said, we need to be more than just a viral moment. I said, that's a viral moment. That looks good, but yeah, what are we doing to be organized? And we probably had 100-some bruhs. We got over 250 bruhs, but I said, I'm about to, now that we made official, which I'm trying to do with Black EM. So during that, man, I coordinated all these, that's when Zoom was real big, because it was during COVID. So we had all these Zoom calls. We got a 501c3. We started a website. We started an annual scholarship fund. We have within the organization a mentor-mentee relationship. So for bruhs who are like, I'm an EM attending. I got several bruhs that's coming up under me who's trying to do EM. One of the bruhs, I'm still, he's in the group me now, Chi, he's at Wellstar, Kennesaw.
Okay.
He actually came to my party too. Like, it's just a mentor-mentee kind of relationship within the organization. And along with that, it's a networking organization for bruhs who are physicians or, whatever their professional industry is. Like, it's just a way for us to fellowship. So we're actually going to have, so now COVID is kind of lighting up. We're actually going to have our first retreat in Atlanta, but it's just going to be like the board members. Okay. And this is our first time kicking it in person.
We're supposed to do that for Black EM.
I know. You get, it's on the way. It's on the way, man. But the Black EM, man, we got to talk. We got some good things going. I want to do exactly what we talked about doing. I think that's going to be real dope.
Absolutely.
I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be a real dope weekend. But yeah, I definitely want to do that. But yeah, Medicus, man, it's kind of like an organization within Omega Sci-Fi. And yeah, like we start our own scholarship. We give scholarships to brothers taking the MCAT, DAT, PCAT. You know, we cover that. We front that for them. Brothers applying for med school. We cover that. And it's going really well, man. And that's another group me where it's super dope. Like we talk about different cases and stuff. And from there, I'm learning about, I love that because like literally I text one of the bros and showed them a rash and they were like, hey, do X, Y, and Z. He's a dermatologist. You know what I'm saying? Or there's some bros in there that's like orthopedics. And I'm like, hey man, what would you do with this fracture? You know what I'm saying? Oh, send them home. Explain them. You know what I mean? Like I got like real live consults from people outside of EM, you know, and that's so dope. And they brush, you know.
For you, for their breast.
Yeah.
What I think is really cool, I think people always imagine us as doctors and we think that we have all this information that we've learned in medical school in our heads. And we have a lot of it in our heads, but a lot of it we don't. And when we're actually on the job, especially as emergency physicians, we're always consulting somebody. Like, yes, I know, what to do, but like, what is your specific expertise? So to have, especially dermatology, because I hate
I hate derm.
no, to have that is like invaluable, and having to someone honestly on demand to be able to pick up your phone and say, hey, what would you guys do about this is
it's priceless, man. It's priceless.
Because you're saving, you're helping other people. So
exactly. And they don't even, I mean, I love it because I can hit them all the time. I mean, I'm respectful, but I can hit them 10 o'clock at night. Hey, man, what do you do? They give me real live consult right there.
Right where you are. And that's the thing with the Black EM, like you're saying, like we'll be like, you may be on a night shift and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Guess what? Someone else.
Somebody's up. Yeah. And I love that about y'all. I think you work a lot of nights and you'll be like, man, this night is so draining. And somebody be like, girl, I feel you. I'm right here with you, and it's so encouraging to know somebody with you, and going through what you're going through, Yeah.
So wrapping up a little bit, Teddy, what does community mean for you? I mean, you clearly have been fed by the community around you in Atlanta. The med prep community raised you as a physician, quote unquote. You're tapping into your resources with Omega Sci-Fi. And now as an emergency physician, you built this community around you. So I guess what is it about community that makes it so important to you? And that's why you continue to create them everywhere you go.
That's such a great question. I've never been asked that. I have to really think about that. Kind of look at it like I know someone else is going to be going through what I'm going or have went through, but I want them to have more support than I did. And so that's why it's so important for me to initiate these communities, for it to be there for people coming up behind me. Because I already know we as African Americans in any industry, I'm pretty sure if you pull up lawyers, educators, you name it, they don't feel well supported. And so that's what it means to me, really overall support. I really wanted to be like a support group for all of us, so that we don't struggle and our children don't struggle, you know what I'm saying? Or our friends don't struggle. That's really what it is for me, Just overall support.
I think it's here too, which makes what you're doing, whether you're thinking about it intentionally or not, is what we already know as Black physicians. Like you already said, there's probably less than 5% of us in emergency medicine if we want to just guesstimate. And you will often be the only. You will often be the first. I was the first Black female resident at my program in Memphis, Tennessee until this year that we're recording it, which is 2023. And so you have to be able to pull from where you are coming from, because like we're going to be the first, or we're going to be the only, unfortunately, even in this new millennium, well, still the first of a lot of different things. I just think it's so beautiful. And I love the fact that you're very intentional about it. Because they say all the time, oh yeah, we just wanted things to be easier for someone else, but intentionally and go and open up those spaces and open up those opportunities. Or like somebody else had this idea with Medicus, but like maybe we should really solidify this and really make this impact. Like how much $200 is nothing.
Yeah.
Now to me, that's nothing. That's less than what I make an hour. Sorry, maybe that's but to a medical student or a pre-med student, come on, I'm gonna preach now. To a medical student, and that's life-changing money. I was making $8 an hour when I was, just out of, like, come on now, it would take me eons to save up $200. I could have had up there, but you just never know. So I love what you do. I love who you are, and I love how you show up in the world, especially as a physician, to create other opportunities for other people to grow behind you, because there's not enough of us in medicine, period.
I appreciate it, man. I think, a little bit more is, what's crazy is, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I've been thinking about this a lot. Going through this journey, especially as the only Black in certain situations, you almost have to psych yourself out or not focus on the microaggressions that you had to go through.
Ooh.
And that hit me, that literally hit me for this past week. And it's hitting me now because we're now in our field. But to get here, do you know the amount of times you had to ignore some racism or some microaggressions?
Let's talk about it. Can you tell me about a time? Because I have got times that I have ignored it, and I've got some times where I have confronted it, and I'm always more when I ignore it. So something.
Oh, so now I check it.
Oh yeah.
And I told my wife, I tell my wife about a certain situation, and I almost feel bad to check it. Because I've always felt like, you better not say nothing back. I had that mentality, like, you better get through. You better not say nothing. But now I'm like, yo, why are you talking to me like that over the phone? I'm here calling you about a patient. Why are you talking like that? You know what I'm saying? You don't have to talk to me. You're being very disrespectful. I tell people, we're going to start over. I say, hey, we're going to start over. You're being disrespectful. I don't tolerate disrespect. So I'm calling you about this patient. What do I need to do? And then when I come home, I'm like, I felt bad. And then my wife was like, why? You weren't disrespectful. You were classy. And you checked them. But to answer your question, I thought about how many times I literally had, I can't give too much information, but I literally had one of my professors in med school tell me, hey, I don't think EM is for you. Mm-hmm. You might need a plan B. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Literally told me that. Yeah. Or another professor tell me, man, you got you got a weight rotation at Cook County? I didn't even get that.
I got a rotation at Cook County.
Oh, you got one?
But I had one too.
Yeah, but it's almost like you're not qualified. How do you get that? I didn't even get it.
Must be they're trying to fill a quotient,
Right.
trying to check a box. That is
Yeah. Check
the
it out.
box.
Yeah.
No way.
Just think about how many times you went through that and you ignored it. That's traumatizing, man. And I thought about that. So now I'm getting flashbacks of different things people have said to me in this journey to EM. And I'm like, man, I can't believe I let them talk to me like that. Or I can't believe they said that and I didn't say anything. But it's just, I hate to say it, but it's almost like I had a mentality, I'm just trying to make it.
But I think we get to a point, and I guess this is where my story will come in, when I think I did that. I have multiple experiences where I did that in residency, because I was a part of the very first class that, came out of my program. So that had a separate thing. We felt like we were the peacekeepers. So a lot of different things that happened to me. One, I had no experience in anything different because this was just me and all of my other peers. We were all interns or second years together. We were the upperclassmen. So that was but then two, being the only Black and the only Black female, of course, you people are going to think that you're angry and all this other stuff too. But that was when I was in residency, so I let a lot of stuff slide. Some full disclosure, some stuff I did not let slide, and that semi got me in trouble. But I'm not mad about it. But I think when it came to when I was an attending and working in northern Mississippi, I've had patients say different things to me that I don't like. For example, I've had a patient call me girl.
Mm.
And I because that word triggers me so much, which I'm just very triggered by it. I politely stopped and I checked it in the moment. And to see their reaction to it, which it blew up out of proportion for them, because they knew that they were doing something wrong. And I just simply said, please don't call me girl. My name is Dr. Brown. And I moved on with the conversation. But they got stuck on it. And so when you check it in the moment, people don't expect you.
They don't expect it.
They don't expect it. And so when you check them in the moment, you're getting your power back, because one, you're standing up for yourself and you're like, you know what, this is not how you talk to me. At the end of the day, I got a whole lot of letters after my name and a whole lot of student debt that I have accumulated to be this person. So you are going to respect me, but not in the point that I'm above you, but at the fact that, and don't talk to me like I'm less than you, because I'm not. We're both adults. We're both, human beings. So just address me as such. But they're never expecting you to say, "Hey, person."
Right.
Yeah, because that ain't kosher over here. So
Yeah. And it's just sad that we even have to deal with that as Black physicians, man. Well, that's what it is, and we gotta. I love that you're checking in the moment just like me, man. That's the only way we're gonna make change.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
We've been talking.
I know.
I have learned so much about you. And I just celebrate you because I see what you're doing, and I just want to shout you out as someone that is out there actively and intentionally making the world better with everything that you do. And I love that. So tell the audience, like, what do you have going on? If someone is interested in talking to you, if they're, if they're a member of Omega Sci-Fi, if they want to get tapped into MetaQs, or just what you have going on, or just, talk to you further, how does somebody reach out to you?
Yeah, I actually run the MetaQs social media. I'm a one-man shop. But if brands are interested in you're interested in learning more about MetaQs, we're at metaqs.org, at MetaQs on Facebook and IG and Twitter. You can reach me on that way. I would give my personal email. Yeah, just hit me on MetaQ. far as what I got going on, man, I'm all about health and fitness, man. I done gained so much weight, so I'm like on 1,000-calorie burning a day on Apple Watch. I feel good because I've been on it about 2 months now. I just really, really feel good, and life is good, man. One of my hobbies, man, so if I didn't do medicine, I would actually probably pursue some type of music industry, like definitely not rapping, singing, or anything like that. But I love music. I love records. So that's like my hobby now. I collect records. They got some dope record shops in St. Louis, matter of fact, man. Some untouched, rare records you can find. I like what we call digging. So I just like digging for old records, classics, man, and just playing the music. Definitely involved with the frat. I'm making sci-fi. I just got my life membership last year, man, so I'm really happy about that. Yeah. So I went ahead and signed the check.
Pretend that we can afford it. It's fine.
Right. Just enjoying being married, man. Married life is cool, man. I got a real beautiful wife, man, and we just enjoying life together, man.
Can people hire you to DJ their parties? Because I know you're.
What's crazy? I do it for free. Yeah, I do it for free, man. It's a Bray has a club out here called I'm gonna shout him out. Brother Anthony Bond has a club in East St. Louis, not East St. Louis, Belleville, called Jazzy 159, and he lets me come up there and spin for happy hour. And then we got a little kickback crew, man. I just put up my turntables and we just vibe in the summertime. My wife's mother has a nice backyard, so we just groove in the backyard, listen to music, man. So I just do it for fun. I just love listening to music, seeing people's reactions when you throw a record on. They like, oh, yeah, that's my jam. Now,
I'm gonna get you to start charging for that because I'm probably.
I know everybody say it, man. Matter of fact, the last time I did it, my friend was like, "Man, you want me to pay you?" I'm like, "Nah, man, you don't have to pay me anything."
Okay, y'all listen to this advice from Teddy. You want to get charge people, okay? Talk.
Matter of fact, I'm about to go to a DJ. They got a dope thing tonight in St. Louis. They do like an open mic, but for DJs. And you do like a 15-minute set, get down. I'm not doing it today, but I will before the year is over with. But I'm going to see that tonight, man. That's just how you pretty much know this. In EM, you need an outlet that's totally not medicine related. So you can decompress, you know what I'm saying? That's my way I decompress, Yeah.
Well, I love that. I will be hitting you up because I do think I'm going to be heading up to St. Louis at some point.
Oh, yeah, please do. Yeah, we got to hang out.
Absolutely. But Teddy, again, thank you so much for your time. Yeah. You're so generous with your knowledge and your gems, and just thank you so much. I'm sure that anybody that is interested in even pursuing medicine a little bit later in life would reach out to you and just try to get you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you for listening to the Docs Get Money podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcast. Share, comment, follow, and subscribe to the Docs Get Money podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know more, visit me, Dr. Kimberly Brown, at KimberlyBrownMD.com, and be sure to follow me at Dr. Kimberly B on Instagram. And until next time, let's go get this money, honey.